Good morning, everyone. Thank you for participating in this webinar, The Outlook Lover's Guide to Working with NetSuite Data. My name is Lisa, and I will be the moderator for this webinar. We're joined by this CloudExtend team, Justine Berto, Account Manager and Executive, and Chris Corcoran, the General Manager. Throughout the webinar, please submit any questions you may have in the chat window. Chris and Justine will answer these at the end of the session or during the session as appropriate. We will be recording this webinar and will send the content out shortly afterward to all attendees and registrants. I will now hand it over to Justine to go over the agenda.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome, everyone. So let's jump right into the agenda for today. First, I will give a quick overview of who Celigo is, and then who CloudExtend and the CloudExtend team at Celigo is. I'll then hand it over to Chris, who will talk a little bit about the problem NetSuite and Outlook users face, and then he will discuss integrating Outlook with NetSuite. At that point, we'll do some live demos and then open it up for a Q&A session. So a little bit about who we are. Celigo was founded in 2007. Most of you may know Celigo as the company that integrates NetSuite with other applications such as Amazon, Shopify, and Salesforce with what we call smart connectors. That's certainly a part of who we are, but we've evolved into a company that can connect any two systems with our modern iPaaS called Integrator.io. IO is designed for tech-savvy business users that need to integrate any two systems together. So what is CloudExtend? CloudExtend is a brand of Celigo that focuses on building applications that are used by end users every day, as opposed to applications like smart connectors that run in the background. We've built applications that enable end users to integrate their email, calendars, and documents with NetSuite, called CloudExtend Outlook for NetSuite, and CloudExtend G Suite for NetSuite. We launched CloudExtend Outlook because we saw a big need for a modern integration that works on Macs, PCs, desktops, mobile, browsers, and is fully supported by Office 365. We already help over 5,000 customers with our CloudExtend Outlook and G Suite applications, and each month we're pushing updates that continually improve our product's performance and add new features to make our customers' lives that much easier. So now that you know who we are, I'm going to hand it over to Chris to discuss the problem we're trying to solve and talk about integrating NetSuite and Outlook.
Okay, great. Thank you, Justine.
There you go, Chris.
Yep, great. So first, as most of you know, NetSuite really is an amazing application that you're probably using every day. It's typically relied on as the single source of truth. Users can pull up a customer record, they can see financial history, support cases, user notes, custom records, and a whole lot more. In short, NetSuite's really one database for your entire business. And if you're on this call, you're likely using Outlook for a good part of your business day. Users really love Outlook because it's easy to use. It works on a Mac, PC, it works on the desktop, mobile, or the browser, essentially wherever you are. And if you have an Office 365 subscription, it just gets better over time. But quite simply, here's the problem. On one side, you have your NetSuite users all in a silo on the right-hand side here. You have your customers, your contacts, your transactional data, custom records, and anything else that you've added to the platform. And then on the left-hand side, you have your Outlook silo with all your customer communications, calendar events, file attachments, even signed customer contracts, and a whole lot more. And then further complicating the entire process, a lot of Outlook users' data is also siloed from other Outlook users. You're not necessarily sharing your email box because you don't want to share every single email with everyone in your company. So in order to fulfill the promise of 360-degree visibility, you have to find a way to get your NetSuite data into Outlook and your Outlook data into NetSuite. And that's where our value prop comes in. So CloudExtend helps to remove the barrier between these two silos, and it allows for two-way traffic. With CloudExtend Outlook, you're in the driver's seat. We give you complete control over what to share into NetSuite. And I think more important than that, or at least equally as important, we make it super, super easy. Justine's going to be demoing a few common scenarios for you. First, she'll update a contact directly in Outlook without having to navigate out to NetSuite. And then next, she'll demo the ability to attach an email and a file to a NetSuite record. And then she'll also demo how NetSuite and Outlook can work together to help keep transactions up to date. I think the common theme that you're going to see in this demo is that Justine's in the driver's seat the entire time. So she has full control over what she decides to share into NetSuite. And then the end result is that her coworkers now have just the 360-degree view of the data that she wants them to have. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Justine, who can dive into a demo.
Great. Thanks, Chris. So let me first show how easy it is to update contact information using CloudExtend. So here I have an email from a customer who notifies me that they're changing positions at their current company. Typically, you would need to open NetSuite, find the contact, click edit, enter in the new information, save, etc. Something that is tedious and maybe a sales rep wouldn't even do just because it just takes too long. So with CloudExtend, you can simply do that all from within Outlook. By clicking the Celigo button at the top, our application will populate on the right-hand side. I'm going to click this Attach Email to NetSuite button here. And what happens when I do that is our application actually looks for relevant records in NetSuite based on the senders and recipients of the email. So here it found the contact for Chris. So if I click on that contact, it will actually load the contact details all here within our application. Click on the pencil, and here I'll be in edit mode. Maybe I want to copy the new title and then paste it into the contact information here. And once this loads, sorry, I am working in a test drive account, which tends to be a tad bit slower than production. I will paste in the title and hit update, and just like that, I'll have my contact information updated in NetSuite. So that's a typical scenario you might run through, and it's just a very easy way to update information on different records. Second example I have here is I receive an email, one of the best emails a sales rep can get. My prospect is ready to move forward with the deal and has attached a signed contract. Of course, this is something that I'm going to want to have in NetSuite for others to see. So in this case, when I click the Celigo button and click Attach Email to NetSuite, it does that same search. And here, I'm going to simply choose the customer record, click the little check mark here. Down here, you could see that I can also include this attachment. And then when I hit Attach, it will attach this email along with the contract to the NetSuite record that I chose, all on the Communication tab for others in the company to see. So it's very, very easy to get information from Outlook to NetSuite. Now, at this point, depending on your workflow, there's a few things that you might want to do. I might want to create a task and maybe assign the task to somebody else in the company to follow up with that new customer. Or maybe I want to create an event and create an onboarding call with the new customer. That's actually something that our app can help with. So I'm going to come over here and open up my calendar. And I'm actually going to create an event, just like I normally would. We'll make it called Onboarding Call with Amazon. We'll put a location here, Connecticut office. And we'll just put welcome here. Now we have that same Celigo. Oh, sorry, and I want to invite someone as well. So let me invite Chris, that new contact from Amazon. And now I'm going to click that same Celigo button. At this point, our app will populate. And here you can see it now says Attach Event to NetSuite. So this is where I would click on Attach Event to NetSuite, and it will find those related records again. And I can quickly attach the event to the NetSuite record that I want, in this case, the customer record, click Attach, and just like that, this event will now be saved on the customer record in NetSuite under Activities. So now everyone in the company can see that I had this onboarding call on this date with this new customer. So it's a very easy way to get your events also saved onto NetSuite records. So that's the second scenario. And the third, let me hop back over here to Outlook, is being able to attach an email to an opportunity. So I'm going to click the Celigo button again here, and this will pop up the application. In this case, I'm actually going to search NetSuite here. By searching NetSuite, it will pull up a list of records that we support. In our auto search, as I showed you in the first example, we pull back contacts, customer, and vendor records. Here, we display them all. So in this case, I'm going to click on Opportunity, and then I'm going to type the opportunity number, which is 152, hit Enter. It will find that opportunity. I could check it, and I can attach the email to that opportunity. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris now to do a quick recap of what I just showed to you guys. And then he's going to show a really cool feature that we recently launched called Actionable Messaging.
Okay, great. And Justine, before you hand it back, I just wanted, if you could highlight just the fact that you can click on those three dots right there, just to the right of opportunity 152, when you have it open, and you can actually view that opportunity directly in NetSuite. So we give you a nice direct link. So now Justine could open that opportunity and go ahead and change that quantity on the order to 250 bikes.
Great,
okay, so we, as you pass control back to me, I'll kind of just recap what we just did. So Justine showed how easy it was to update contact details without leaving Outlook. She actually attached emails and a file to a NetSuite record, created an event, and associated that event with a customer record. And all of this stuff was done without leaving Outlook. So I think, with that, you're going to get things done All these activities are now natively in NetSuite. They can be reported on by sales managers and anyone else that relies on seeing them. So now I'm going to do another demo myself with what I think is our most exciting feature called Actionable Messaging. So Actionable Messaging is a new concept for Microsoft. It's available just recently in Outlook, and it's designed to allow users to act on their email in 5 seconds or less, which, by the way, is likely the amount of time that you spend looking at a single email before deciding what you want to do with it, reply, save it for later, etc. So we've currently enabled actionable messaging for time and expense records. Think about your current process. An employee submits their expense report. If you have notifications enabled, then you're going to receive an email alert. At this point, what most people do is leave their email on read. They'll open it, then they'll leave it on read, or they'll see the subject and they'll decide to act on it later. Then later turns into tomorrow, tomorrow turns into the next day, etc. I think you know where I'm going with that. Excuse me. So with actionable messaging, you'll be able to create the approval directly from your email in 5 seconds or less. In fact, true story, early adopters of actionable messaging have actually reported that employees submitting expense reports asked IT if there was a bug in the system because their expense reports were being approved so quickly. They thought maybe there was some bug where everyone's expense reports were just being approved by default. So with that, I'm going to dive into a demo on actionable messaging. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got an expense form filled out here. And again, this could be a time entry or an expense report. And I'm going to create an expense report for an employee who happens to be at Sweet World in Las Vegas, entertaining employees of other companies. So we're going to call this Meals and Entertainment. This is US dollars, and this was a $1,500 expense. So when I go ahead and click on Save here, we're intercepting that message, and we're converting it in the background to an actionable message. And then we're going to send that actionable message over to Outlook. So you can see here, this message just came in. We're doing this in real time. I can see here that the purpose of the trip was Las Vegas, $1,500. I know Justine, I don't need to do anything else. So I know we can just go ahead and approve this. I've already discussed this with her. So we're invoking an action here. This is going to go out over to NetSuite, and it's going to approve that expense without Justine or any supervisors having to log in to go ahead and approve that. And again, we're working in a test drive account. I promise this does happen in just 2 or 3 seconds. And I'm going to just flip over to NetSuite while this is actually happening. And I'm going to refresh this because we've probably already gotten the approval and we're just waiting for NetSuite to send something back. So this is a small example of the demo gods, right? So it took about probably 10 or 15 seconds. Typically, it's about 5 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and click refresh now on this, and you'll see that this was actually approved by me without having to navigate to NetSuite. I was able to do everything directly in Outlook. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Justine, who can kind of wrap up today. We're going to go ahead and take some questions, et cetera.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's do a final recap. So today we discussed how, oops, sorry, let me go back here. So actually, before I do the recap, sorry, I'm going to go through the installation here. So the installation process is very straightforward for end users. There is really nothing that has to be done other than installing it in the Office store. So I'm actually going to switch back over here to Outlook, and you can see here at the top, there's the store icon. If you click on that, the Office add-ins will pop up, and from here, you can simply search for add-ins. And in this case, I'm going to type in CloudExtend. You can also type Celigo, and it will pop up there. Obviously, I already have it added in, so it's showing added. If you don't, it will ask you to add it. Once you click on that, it will load, and it will prompt you to log into our app. So it's really that simple. There's nothing else that has to be done there. It's very, very, very straightforward. Let me hop back over to the slides here, and then we can go through a quick recap of everything we went over today, and then we'll jump into pricing. I'm sure everybody is interested to hear what pricing model we have. So today we discussed how Outlook and NetSuite are siloed from each other and how CloudExtend Outlook bridges that gap. We showed how simple it is to use the app, which will ensure users adopt quickly. We talked about how everyone benefits from a 360-degree view of important communication, events and files in NetSuite, and how CloudExtend can help increase ROI with NetSuite CRM. All good stuff that will help make your end users more productive. So pricing. Pricing is pretty straightforward, and it comes in 3 plans. So we do have a free edition, and with that free edition, you're limited to attaching up to 20 emails and 20 calendar events per month. With the user edition, there's no restriction on the number of emails or events attached. You can view, edit, and create certain NetSuite records from Outlook, and you can upload file attachments to NetSuite, as you saw in the demonstration I showed a few minutes ago. Now, the Enterprise Edition includes all of the User Edition features, plus major improvements in performance when searching for records, mainly due to the fact that a NetSuite bundle is required to be installed for this edition. Actionable Messaging, which Chris demonstrated a second ago, is also included in the Enterprise plan. And over the next 7 months, we will be releasing several additional features, including mobile support for TBA and SSO, and a big one, we have a OneDrive and SharePoint integration planned as well, which will allow you to attach OneDrive or SharePoint files and folders to NetSuite records without consuming any NetSuite storage space. So we have a lot on the roadmap. We're really excited for what we already have here, and what we have to come. We have a lot planned, so we're really excited about that too. And just so you know, we do support lots of support. If you're in a trial, if you purchased it, we want to make sure that everyone's using the app successfully. So we're always here to support you guys and make your lives easier with our app. So with that said, we will jump into the Q&A, and I'll hand it over to Lisa to run the Q&A session.
Great. Thanks, Justine and Chris. We have a few questions coming in. The first of a few. I've used CloudExtend before, and I believe I was told that NetSuite's native Outlook integration was actually built by Celigo. Is that true?
Sure, Lisa, I can take that. So yes, that is true. We were hired many, many years ago to build this kind of in a job shop environment for NetSuite. There was a list of specs that were delivered to us. We built it to those specifications, and again, many years ago, I think more than 5 years ago now, we handed it over to NetSuite. And then NetSuite owned that application. NetSuite supported that application. And then we saw some gaps in there, in the past year or so, and started to build our own integration. So our integration actually works on Macs. It works on a browser. It supports Office 365. We give customers the ability to view and edit and create records directly in Outlook. So I think we've got a much more modern integration than the current integration that was built many years ago for NetSuite.
Thank you, Chris. Another question, does CloudExtend work with Safari? I think you just might have mentioned that too.
Yeah, kind of. So I mentioned that it works in browsers, and it does work in Safari. Essentially, any browser that supports Outlook on the web. So if you go to mail.office365.com, wherever you're going to sign into, our app will be supported there.
Thank you. We use GoDaddy for our email. Do you support that, or does it have to be on an Exchange server?
Yeah, good question. One that comes up pretty often. So Outlook add-ins actually do require that someone has an Exchange server on the back end. So if you're using Mappy, et cetera, to pull your email off some other system, our application won't work. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a subscription to Office 365, or you've got your own Exchange server.
Great. Does Actionable Messaging require a full access user?
So I think what the question probably means is that does it require a NetSuite full access user license?
Yeah.
And that's a good question. So we're going to have to follow up on that after the call. I don't think that a full access user license is required for that. It should be supported with an Employee Center license, but I'm going to follow up for sure on that one.
Okay. A few more are coming in right now. Does CloudExtend work when single sign-on is being used?
So single sign-on is on our very, very short-term roadmap. In fact, that's what we're working on right now. So that's going to be in our next release. It is scheduled for this quarter. We've already candidly have slipped a tiny bit. We wanted to have this out in October. So I think you'll likely see this in November. I'm seeing the first cut of it on Monday. And I should also, let me just add, so single sign-on will support Okta, we'll support Google, and then we're also going to be releasing token-based authentication at the same time.
Okay. Let's see. I see you sync events from Outlook to NetSuite. What about syncing events from NetSuite to Outlook?
Okay, another question that comes up fairly often. So I'm going to try and find kind of an article just for since this is being recorded, so someone can actually see. Okay, I found it. So if someone can make me presenter, I'm going to really quick just share this article. So we have this really cool feature where you can create an event in Outlook, which is really a best-of-breed calendaring system. NetSuite's CRM is a little clunky to use to create calendar events. So our preference is for people to use Outlook to create events. We even give you that extra ability to attach those events to a NetSuite record. So here's an article that shows about something cool that most people don't even know that NetSuite has. So they have an Ical integration that you can set up, and you can do a Google search for this article, and we could share it after the fact as well. With this NetSuite Ical, any event that you create inside NetSuite is going to sync back over to your Outlook, and that's going to happen automatically. NetSuite does that for free, so you don't have to pay anyone for that integration.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Is the mobile version coming out fairly soon?
Yes. So there's some history on the mobile version, and I think based on that, we also now try and stop providing exact delivery dates like next Monday, et cetera. So our mobile application was approved by Microsoft. They go through a very vigorous process before they approve an application for mobile. They said it could be about 3 weeks now before the application is actually available in the store. The reason being right now is that there's a bug in Microsoft's Android version that prevents our app from running. So it's not a bug on our side, it's actually a bug on the Microsoft Android version. They expect to have that ironed out in about 3 weeks. So you should see that in November. It's code complete right now. And in fact, if you really do want to have it now, we have a way to get that to you if you're using an iPhone. So reach out to Justine and she can work with you to get you a special build that will give you access to mobile ahead of time.
Okay. How do you get support?
Let's see. So I'm still sharing my screen, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So there's a few ways you can get support. So one of them is our support site here, support.cloudextend.io. You can search for answers. So if you want to say search for actionable messaging, you can just come in and start typing that here, if I can spell. And then you'll start to see a list of articles that tell you how to set it up, etc. Also in-app, you can click this little messenger icon, and then you can search for the same thing. So you can search for actionable messaging, or you could actually click new conversation, and then you can ask us a question. And typically we get back to you. You can see here this time of the day, and this response actually is based on the time of day you submit the question. So you could expect an answer in about 5 minutes.
Is CloudExtend available to the One World version of NetSuite?
It is. So there's no extra charge, et cetera. If you have NetSuite One World, it'll work just the same way.
Okay, we still have quite a few questions coming in, which is great. Is it possible to set up automatic email system for customer invoices through CloudExtend?
Let's see. So I'm going to have to decipher the message. Is it possible to set up an automatic invoicing system through CloudExtend? So I'm guessing, and maybe someone can type the clarification that someone wants to replace the automatic sending of emails from NetSuite, if you go to generate an invoice and automatically send that to a customer, if we can kind of intercept that and send that, and then send that email from our app. So it would show now in your sent items folder in Outlook. If that is the case, that's something that's on our roadmap. It's something that we want to do, but I don't think you'll see that in the next 6 months or so.
What can this do that NetSuite's native tool cannot do, aside in a Windows context? I know it works with Mac, and that's a difference.
Yeah, so that's a really good question as well. So we focus really all of our attention on building this application so that users would get something more than they can get out of NetSuite's application. So yes, Mac for sure, right? So it also works in a browser, so you're not restricted just to using it inside of your Outlook desktop application. I think the most important thing is it doesn't slow down your Outlook. So there's no exe file that's layered on top of your Outlook. So your Outlook is going to be just as snappy as it was the first day that you installed it. Installation is really easy. You don't need a NetSuite admin to help you with that. As Justine showed, click 2 buttons and you're installed from the Office store. We give you the ability to view, edit, and create NetSuite records directly inside of Outlook, so you can be more efficient without having to switch between Outlook and go to another browser tab and find NetSuite. Actionable messaging, really to me is my favorite feature. That's also not available in the NetSuite application. And probably most important is that we've got a lot on our roadmap, so customers that invest in our solution will get an ROI out of that. We've got lots and lots more features planned. We shared just a few things when you looked at the Enterprise Edition that are coming on the roadmap. Single sign-on is also a differentiator between the two. So, and you'll find more and more over time because we have predictable, regular, monthly updates.
Does actionable messaging only work for expenses approving of, also for other approvals records?
So currently we released actionable messaging to support 2 NetSuite records. So time approvals is one, expense approvals is another. But we do know there's a need for other approvals like journal entries, sales orders, etc. So you'll be seeing those also coming down the road.
Can you mass mail merge out of Outlook and have it tracked in NetSuite and vice versa?
No.
Okay. I think that answers a lot of our questions. Okay. I think that does it, Chris and Justine.
I think I'm just going to take a quick look through the list of questions too. If you don't mind, let me just make sure I didn't miss something. So someone asked for a follow-up on the answer we gave previously related to the full user versus employee license for the actionable messaging. I actually don't know, so we're going to have to try that. And then please reach out to us. You can go to cloudextend.io and just, when you're there, you can actually click this icon down here and say, hey, do you have that answer for me if you're the person who asked that? And then we'll get your email information and we'll get back to you on that. Someone else actually asked, you can send messages from Outlook to NetSuite. Does the reverse work? Can you create an Outlook email and have a NetSuite sales order attached to it? And that kind of goes to what I said earlier. Someone mentioned something similar. So we do have a plan in place to build an integration so that within NetSuite, you'll be able to click send email, and then it'll open your Outlook, and then you'll be able to attach your sales order. When you send it, it'll be saved in NetSuite and the sent items of your Outlook at the same time. We have another integration we've already built that works with G Suite that does the same thing. So we're pretty confident there, and that will be rolled out as a feature.
Is it possible, I don't think I asked this question, is it possible to specify between personal expenses and company expenses when generating employee expense reports?
So I'm not familiar with how you'd actually do that inside of NetSuite as well. So I actually don't really have an answer for that question as to whether it's a personal expense versus the company expense. I would imagine there's probably some kind of a checkbox that someone has to indicate, or maybe the category. So if you can do it in NetSuite, when you submit that expense report, it is going to come over to the person who is the supervisor for that employee. If there's any indication there that it's a personal expense report that they don't need to act on, you could probably reference it in the purpose, which does show up in the actionable messaging. So that purpose shows up. Yeah, reach out to me also just by my email or directly through our app, and happy to have a call to dive in a little deeper.
And I should note, we'll be following up with all the attendees with an email and contact information, and follow up with the recording of this webinar and the content as well. So, and we are documenting all the questions and the people that have asked, so we'll be reaching out to you as well. Okay, Chris and Justine, I think we can close up the webinar.
Okay, great. Lisa, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Look forward to hearing back from you. Again, go to our website, cloudextend.io, click the messenger icon. You're going to get one of us on there or one of the support folks. Happy to jump on a call, talk further, and you can start a demo really, really easy. Look forward to working with you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.